Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope each and every one of you is just doing wonderfully. Lately there's been a lot of noise and a lot of nonsense and rubbish surrounding the takeover of Manchester United. So I thought we should discuss about what's really going on. So here's a couple of things about Manchester United's takeover. Now, in order to understand the complete picture, I reckon a brief look into the past will do wonders for our understanding. So, as most of us know, this rich American family of investment bankers called the Glazers bought Manchester United back in 2005 through a leveraged buyout. Leveraged buyout is one of those crazy things you can't believe exist, but it does. Such as the world, such as the financial world we live in. We've actually done a video in which we talk about the leveraged buyout in more detail. And if you're interested in checking that out, a pop-up banner shall appear through the magic of technologies somewhere in the screen, and you can click on it and you'll be whisked away to that video. Anywho, so essentially what they did was they put the whole club as a collateral and took a huge amount of money from the bank. And the club has been paying back that money in installments ever since. Now, this is the same money that could have been used for um, renovation of Old Trafford, upgrades at Carrington, investments into the squad, into the medical department, into the cafeteria. Apparently, the gym is still the same from 10 years ago, according to Cristiano Ronaldo. So that's all those places that desperately needed some TLC were ignored because a rich family in America wanted to get richer by using Manchester United, which did not sit too well with the fans from pretty much day one, and hence started the protests, the gold and green scarves, the flying banners around Old Trafford during games. In fact, last year it reached a scary pinnacle when there was actual concern for safety of residents of Manchester, and there was some property damage in the surroundings of Old Trafford. Plus, in terms of running of the club on the field and off the field, last 10 years have been shambolic to say the least. So, due to these multitude of reasons, Glazers, towards the middle of last year, announced that they are open to selling Manchester United club. Now, that news, we were all so giddy, we still are. And shortly after they announced this news, naturally, Manchester United being the hottest commodity in sports across the world, attracted many attention from wealthy individuals, organizations, entities, and what have you, from Elon Musk to Apple and everything else in between. But from the very outset, there were two or three clear front runners, and we are going to talk about two of those front runners plus a third possibility. And before that, I want to quickly address the first and the biggest concern that most Man United fans have, which is because of the wordings of the announcement, there is a little bit of ambiguity about whether Glazers are actually going to sell the club or not, whether they're just looking for investments and so on and so forth. So I want to address this first. These are all the right questions. These are all questions that I have wrestled with myself. And I've reached a conclusion. The conclusion that I've reached is that I don't see any other possibility other than the full and complete sale of Manchester United. And there's a reason why. First of all, Glazers have been around since 2005, and even during Sir Alex Ferguson days, people used to protest, and they never budged. We didn't hear a peep from them about selling some of the stocks or any of the stocks or shares or what have you. But now, given the protests from last year, given the interview from Cristiano Ronaldo, which still is an unprecedented event at this scale, at this level, the fact that they have openly announced that they are exploring opportunities, that is a very good sign for us Manchester United fans. See, in this corporate world, in this business world, even if the intention is very clearly to sell, you will use wordings that leave a little bit of room for face saving. And that's essentially a simplified version of how the corporate world works, how the people with money works, because they want to protect themselves in case it doesn't happen. They announced they wanted to sell it, but look, now they're singing a different tune. You know what I mean? So I don't see anything wrong with the statement. The second thing, the thing that gives me more confidence is they appoint Rain Group. Now, the Glazers don't have any prior affiliations with Rain Group. However, Rain Group have just proven to the whole world that they can handle a multi-billion-dollar sale of a big football club in Chelsea just a few months ago, and then Glazers go out and appoint them. So that means there is something cooking there. And thirdly, Glazers know very well the investment that is needed in the infrastructure. Now, I'm not saying they can't raise the investment, but how are they going to raise that 2 or 3 billion pounds that is needed to upgrade the whole of Manchester United? They're going to take it from a bank. Another leverage, another collateral. And how do you imagine that will sit with fans? And nowadays, fans, through social media and technology and what have you, can be much more vociferous than they ever could be. So for Glazers, an asset that they bought for 8 or 900 million pounds, which they've turned into a liability through their incompetence and sheer stupidity, is now going to get sold for 5 or 6 billion quid. And what it all depends on is how much they pocket. It's as simple as that. Just because they're rich, it doesn't mean they're wired differently than you and I. It's the same thing. Next up is Jim Ratcliffe, who is one of the front runners. And if you are to believe the mainstream media, he should be the favorite. But you see, I have my suspicions. Lots of fans will be happy with Jim Ratcliffe. He's a wealthy businessman. He's not going to put his own money. If he buys Manchester United club for 5 or 6 billion pounds or 4 billion pounds, whatever the amount is, it's not going to be his own money. It's still going to be the same thing, but it'll just be dressed in prettier clothes. If you look at his record of owning the French football club, he's not the messiah, and it's much easier to take care of a smaller pond than a large ocean, is the analogy that comes to mind. Jim Ratcliffe will be another businessman. All that talk of him being a fan or not is irrelevant when it's 4, 5, 6 billion pounds on the table, and especially it's not your own money. You need to give certain guarantees to certain people, and giving those guarantees mean running this like a business. That is exactly what the Glazers were culpable of. I mean, what they saw was this business that they had acquired, and they had scaled to such a level by selling it to every tequila brand out there. They increased the profit and the revenues tenfold. So for them, it was happy days. Of course, they were going to take dividends, because I took something for 800 million and now it's 5 billion pounds. Hey, I'm on cloud nine. And this is exactly the same cloth that Jim Ratcliffe is cut from. So I am personally not rooting for Jim Ratcliffe all that much. The second front runner, and in my opinion, the favorite and the next owner of Manchester United, Jassim Altani from Qatar, he will also consider buying Manchester United for a particular set of reasons, for a particular set of benefits. The set of benefits are completely different from Jim Ratcliffe, and let me explain. If Altani is successful in buying out Manchester United Football Club, having worked with Middle Eastern businessmen, Fortune 500 type of companies, I can assure you that a lot of their decision making, especially when it comes to dealing with international projects or companies or clientele or acquisitions, a lot of it is pride driven. And by that I mean they don't like losing bidding wars or wars, as we all know. I mean, they'll resort to anything to win a war. But I digress. Altani wants to buy the club because it will put his family and Qatar on the world map, so to speak. And he will go to any length to make this happen as long as it is justifiable. By that, what I mean is they're not going to pay 10 billion pounds. Now they've had a closer look at the books and they will decide valuation. I don't think we will ever be privy to the discussion, and neither is Sky Sports nor is Talk Sports and all those people who are just making up stories after stories. They don't know how much the bids are. The leaks, the misinformation, and the up and downs, the ebb and flows, it's all a part of negotiation tactics nowadays, which annoys me to no end. But again, such is the world we live in. So I have complete and immovable confidence in the fact that Altani will win this bid. However, I am just worried about the government intervention, about, Qatar, the whole Middle East and the West debate. I am, although, encouraged by the fact that Qatar government has been making quite big inroads, what with the owning part of British Airways and Heathrow Airport, for example, the supermarket chain, I forget the name of. If I'm not mistaken, Qatar has invested about 50 billion quid in the UK's economy over the last 10 years. So if that's good, then owning Manchester United should be all right as well. And I hope that is the case, because I do not think that Jim Ratcliffe stands any chance of winning the bid. In fact, he knows his bid is incomparable to that of Altani's, which is why in futile attempts to sweeten the deal, he may have offered that 20% stake for glazers. And if that happens, it's not the 20% that the glazers own that I'll be worried about. It's the 80% that Jim Ratcliffe will own is what will concern me, because how he will own it will be not through his own money. And the thing about borrowed money is you got to pay it back. So I believe this takeover saga will drag on for a bit more. If the sale is not finalized till next year, I will not be the least bit surprised. But to ease any concerns that my fellow Manchester United fans will have over the transfer window, all I will say is that we will still have the normal 150 or 200 million pounds that we would have in this transfer window. And luckily, now that we have a proper manager, that 150 or 200 million pounds will feel like 500 million pounds, I assure you. And that is as good a place as any to end today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I hope it provided you with some clarity. If you did like it, you know what to do. Hopefully we'll see each other again soon, and until then, take good care of yourselves. Stay safe, stay good, stay classy.